way I step, something in my jeans. And FOI, you know that's the team, huh?
Peace. This is your brother Aidan X, and welcome to the processing class. Peace. This is brother Aidan X, and welcome to the processing class. Today I got a very special guest, sister. You go by Zewdy on Instagram. Is that how you pronounce it?
It's actually Zewdy. Yes, sir.
Zewdy, sister Zewdy. Okay. The first question I'd like to ask you is, how did you get the teachings? Were you born in it, or how did you become a quote unquote Muslim?
Okay, yes, sir. Well, assalamu alaikum, and assalamu alaikum to everyone listening and viewing. So I was introduced to the teachings about 9 years ago in 2013 by a brother out of Atlanta. And I met him through a mutual friend of ours who was not a Muslim. It's interesting because I was not raised Muslim. I wasn't raised religiously at all. I actually did not believe in God prior to coming to the nation and the teachings. And I was in a really dark place at that time because of various things, just like feeling kind of hopeless where my love life was concerned, where career things were concerned. And I knew that I needed a really drastic change in my life. And so I prayed for the first time in 2013. And I was basically saying to God that I know you're real and I just want you to show me who you are. And shortly after that prayer, in the coming weeks, I started getting impulses to do things. I had an impulse to like detoxify. And so I started fasting with the Ethiopian Orthodox Christians. They do Lent, but their version is like a 55-day vegan fast. So I embarked on that. And it was during that time that I was introduced to the brother Brandon X out of Atlanta. And he introduced me to the teachings, and there was no looking back from there. I knew quickly, after hearing the things that he was sharing with me, and then like the lectures he would send me, I was like, this is what I've been praying about. This is, it was just like my being knew that this was the truth.
Yes, ma'am. Atlanta, yeah, I was out there March 15. That's why I started my process. But I would like to ask you, because you said you wasn't interested in God before. I was raised an atheist. So what made you believe in God? And who is God to you? Is it a spook in the sky? Is it a mystery? What does that God look like, and why do you believe in him?
Okay, so wait, what was the first part of the question?
What made you believe in God?
Right. Okay. So first, I'll say that I didn't believe in God because that's how I was raised. One of my parents is an atheist, and most of my friends growing up were Christian, and I went to their churches sometimes for like family friend day and stuff like that. But I couldn't believe in God the way that it was taught. It just didn't make sense to me. And then looking at a lot of the suffering people in the world, and this so-called God wasn't addressing that. And I like to ask questions. My father, who is a very logical, scientific person, raised me to be that way. And I always used to hear, well, you can't question God. And I'm like, well, I don't want nothing to do with that. So what I will say that over the course of my life, I had the thought, like, what if God is real and I'm wrong? But, I kind of settled in my mind, well, if God is real, he understands why I don't believe. And, eventually I came to learn about God, and I believe that God appeared in the person of Master Father Muhammad. I believe he is God. He is the supreme being on scene today. And that we as human beings are potentially gods. We have that divine essence within us. And that was one of the things that really attracted me when I was learning about the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, learning about the divinity of the human being, learning about the originator of the heavens and the earth, and that we descend from that being.
Yes, ma'am. How did your parents react? Because you said, one of your parents was an atheist. So how did they react when you started not even just registering, just probably studying it? How did they feel about it?
So my parents live in New Jersey, and I was staying in Georgia at the time before I officially moved. And so I started studying basically isolated from my family and friends out in Georgia. But when I would go home to visit, at first they were concerned because they didn't know what that meant for me. At the time, I was signed to an independent record label doing music, and I think they were concerned that I was going to stop doing music because of Islam. And, they just didn't get it because they didn't raise me religiously. But the more that they could see the positive impact that it was having on my life, the more they appreciated it and they supported. My father, especially. I remember one time I came home to visit and my dad was just staring at me and he said, "Zewdy, you have this peace about you now." And I was like, "Daddy, that's Islam." Praise be to Allah.
Yes, ma'am. When a lot of people hear about Islam and Muslim, the role of the women specifically, they think of, this type of oppressive culture that comes from, a few in the Arab world. So what would you say, did the Nation of Islam being registered, did it make you feel less than a man? Do you have to walk 10 paces behind a man? Does a man have to control you and all these things? Do you bow to a man? Can you just answer those?
Oh my goodness, that's funny. I know that's a common misconception about Islam because many people are ignorant to the truth of Islam. When you see that oppressiveness, that is not Islam. That is the culture of those people bleeding into Islam. But I would say that Islam truly liberates me as a woman. It helps me to know my value as a divine woman and the value of being modest and virtuous in a world that is so opposite of that. I don't feel less than a man. I don't feel oppressed at all. I feel very free and comfortable and safe. And the way that we relate to our men is so beautiful and healthy. We learn how to properly relate to one another and respect and love one another. And it's the most beautiful thing. This is the best decision I've made for my life.
Praise be to Allah. Another question, just, going off of that one. How did you feel about covering your hair? Because a lot of people, that may be, for a lot of women that I speak to, that's a reason why they're concerned about, why they don't want to register. Because they don't understand the covering of the body and covering of the hair. So how did you feel about that coming into it?
I love this question. And I definitely can understand why covering the hair is a trial for many women. Our hair, is our crowning glory. It's beautiful. And especially if you take care of it, it's a very alluring thing. Now, fortunately, it wasn't that much of a trial for me because prior to Islam, my hair was a big focal point. I have a lot of hair. It's big and curly. And as an artist, people loved my hair. It was something that people focused on and would always say was like a trademark of mine. But coming into the nation and the teachings and learning why we cover and that it's a protection for us and to get the opposite sex to not focus so much on the physical, but get to know the inner person, I was ready to put my hair away. And people, like some supporters and fans online, they didn't like it. They didn't understand. They'd be like, "Oh, you have a beautiful hair. You need to show it." And I'm like, "No, I'm putting it away. I don't want to show y'all." And when you see commercials that show like shampoo and all of that, the hair lustrous and all of, you see, it's a sexy thing. People think, oh, it's just hair, but it's not just hair. It's beautiful. And I don't mind covering at all. I enjoy covering it. And inshallah, when I get married, my husband will see my hair whenever he wants to. So
Yes, ma'am. Why do you guys cover, if you can answer that?
So I kind of touched on it a little bit, but we cover because we are precious and we don't have to expose our physical beauty, our hair, our adornments in order to be considered attractive. You know, in this world, it's so normalized to be indecent in the way that women dress, to show, show what your mama gave you and all that kind of stuff. And I was a part of that world, so I get it. I was there, especially being in the entertainment industry. And I used to be of those who believed that you had to be indecent, you had to dress in a sexy way in order to be accepted or considered desirable and attractive. And even though I believed that and I was convinced of that, when I would do that and like go to clubs and be out and about and I would get that attention from strange men, it felt gross. So there was like a conflicting thing happening where it's like, on one hand, I want to be attractive. I want that attention. But then when I get it, I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel good. So, learning why that my righteous nature was trying to tell me, this is not you and this is not good for you. You want to be covered, modest, and virtuous, and it starts in your mind. It's the physical is a reflection of what's happening on the inside, and it's just your true beauty is your spiritual beauty, your intellectual beauty, and that can be more of a focal point when everything else is covered, because the physical beauty can be very distracting to the opposite sex. If they're, it's natural for them to be attracted. That's why we were made. We were made in that way to be attractive to the man. But if you put all of that away, then he has no choice but to focus on the internal, which is coming through your speech. So.
Yes, ma'am. I know this next question is going to be ridiculous, but I'm just trying to get in the mind of the lost found. Can you still be physically attractive and covering yourself at the same time? Or is the only way to be attractive is to be naked or half naked?
No, you absolutely can be physically attractive and covered. I enjoy putting together modest outfits because I like to be beautiful. And it's our nature as women to want to be beautiful inside and out. We just have to get a new idea, a superior idea in our minds of what beauty is. And it's things that are very flattering. They don't have to be revealing. They don't have to be tight, but beautiful colors and patterns and clothes that cover you, but you don't have to be dressed in like a garbage bag, just clothes that aren't so hugging on your form, but fit you well and, just are beautiful.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of people see the discipline in the Nation of Islam from both FOI and MGT. So, I get this question a lot from people that don't really know much about it. What can you guys do? So can you just answer that specifically for the women? Because as you are being a woman, what can you do in the nation? What are you allowed to do?
Well, we can do anything that a man can do as long as it does not degrade us. We can do anything, just name it. If you name something that degrades us, I'm going to say that's something that we don't do. Like, we are not drinking at the club. We are not out there abusing ourselves and letting people use our bodies. That's just, things that are beneath us. So We can do anything as long as it doesn't degrade us. We can work, we can play sports, we can do anything.
Yes, ma'am. You just say you guys don't drink, use your bodies, but someone may be watching this and be like, why? That's fun. So why should I not engage in those things? Because I know it's a choice too. It's not no one's over your shoulder. Why do that? Why not drink? That's fun. That's social. Why not, sleep around? Because that's also considered fun in this world. So why give these things up? And what does fun look like to you personally, being registered in the Nation of Islam?
So I can speak from experience because I used to drink, I used to smoke, and I've had relationships. I've never been married, but those things do not further our spiritual development, and they are indicative of a life that lacks discipline. And discipline, people look at discipline as sometimes they think it's like a difficult thing, like it's limiting, but there are limits that are a good thing, that are our protection, just like our book, The Restrictive Law of Islam is Our Success. So we don't do these things. We don't smoke, we don't drink, we don't fornicate, because those things, they poison us physically, spiritually, emotionally. They don't help us at all. Smoking and drinking are literal poisons. That when you intake those things into your body, they're destroying you slowly but surely, and they alter your mind state. It's all bad. I'm speaking from experience. I never want to be not sober again. And fornicating and things like that, it's destructive emotionally, because you don't want to give yourself to someone that you haven't made a commitment to, and give yourself to someone so soon you don't even know them. It clouds your judgment, and then emotions get involved, and you find out down the line you don't even like each other. You just got physically involved. So then there's heartbreak and all of this kind of stuff. And all of that can be avoided if you just don't engage in that sort of thing. And I know it sounds like, oh, it's so normal. Sexual liberation is the order of the day, but it doesn't lead to anything but chaos and unhappiness and a lack of peace. That's what you see in this world.
Yes, ma'am. You have that. It sounds like you was talking about health, and I'm on your Instagram right now. You have a whole highlight on how to eat to live. Just for those watching, can you just describe a little bit of what How to Eat to Live has done for you?
Yes, sir. So How to Eat to Live is so cool. Like, I really enjoy striving to live by How to Eat to Live. I'm not going to say that I'm perfect, but I had done one meal a day for some years. And then last year I started one meal every other day. I'm not on it right now, but I'm gonna get back on it soon, inshallah. And it's so amazing to see what eating less can do for you. So the one meal a day aspect, when you're not eating breakfast, lunch, and then all these snacks in between, you have more time and even more clarity of mind. Like, you're not filling your body up with food all day, so it's not busy digesting food all day. And so your thoughts are a lot more clear. And also our monthly 3-day fast, our unity fast, where we take our last meal on the first Thursday of the month and don't eat again until that Sunday, is so amazing. During that time, I like to be extra studious and just be, mindful of my energy, like using my energy. But your thoughts are a lot clearer, and like knowing that you can discipline yourself in that way to not eat, I think is very good for a lot of reasons. But one in particular I'm thinking about is if you have to go without food, if for some reason you can't get to some food, if you've been practicing how to fast, then you'll be able to survive. You're not going to be like, oh, I can't go on, And also, I'm a vegetarian. I have been for 9 years. I actually started my plant-based journey around the time I was introduced to the teaching. So it was like perfect timing. I don't eat meat, but I do consume dairy and eggs and honey. Like those are like animal byproducts. And I really stay away from nuts and kale, some of these things that are tough on our digestive system, as taught by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I just feel very youthful and like I have a lot of energy, and it's easy to maintain my weight. If I want to gain weight, I just have to add more food during my one meal. I eat navy beans like every day. Because I really do enjoy navy bean soup. It's also easy to like conserve your finances if you're eating that, but it's the best food. And you know, people tell me I look so young, like, oh, I like to say I'm aging backwards. I'm 31, by the way. So
Praise be to Allah.
yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. You know, just what you was getting into, the one meal a day, one meal every other day, man. Some people may be watching this and be like, man, she crazy as hell.
Right.
So you don't die from eating one meal a day, especially like one meal every other day. You don't die from that.
I'm here, ain't I? No, you don't die, you live, and you live life more abundantly. It's so true. I'm telling you. I remember what it was like eating 3 meals a day and snacks in between. And I loved to eat, but I realized in eating less food that most of my eating was emotional eating. You know, if I was feeling some type of way, I would grab something and it was comfort. But no, I feel like I have more energy. When I ate all the time, it was harder to wake up in the morning and I felt a lot more sluggish. I would be bloated because I was eating all kinds of crap. But you absolutely do not die eating one meal a day. You have more life, more energy.
Yes, ma'am. Just going off of that more life, what do you think that the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, what do you think it has done to your self-esteem specifically?
The teachings have truly given me a real self-esteem. I would say that I had some kind of level of confidence at some point prior to the teachings, but it was like a false sense of confidence because I didn't even really know who I was. I used to care so much about what other people thought about me and wanting to be liked and things like that, more than how I felt about myself. But the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad through the leadership and guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have shown me who I am and what God thinks of me. And that's more important than what anybody else thinks. And so just striving to learn more about myself and my nature and develop in that way just makes me feel really good about myself. I love to take care of myself, to take care of my home. And yeah, I just feel like I'm very secure in who I am because of my relationship with Allah.
Yes, ma'am. Why register though into the Nation of Islam? Because, you know, some sisters that may be watching this, they may be interested in the teachings, but why can't I just study from the outside? You know, looking in, what made you say, I want to register instead of just, hey, I'm going to study it and I can apply the principles without being registered?
Well, I'll say that coming into the Nation of Islam, registering and becoming a member is a whole different ball game than just studying on the outside. And I studied for about 2 years before I started processing. And then that I joined the next year. But I just was taking my time, but I always knew, like from the time I was introduced to the teachings and I started studying, I knew I was going to join. I just kind of wanted to get a grasp on it prior to stepping foot in the mosque. But our class, our MGT and GCC class, which is the Muslim Girls in Training and General Civilization class, the training that we get is just something that you're not going to get outside. You can get little bits and pieces. You know, we have a look at the feminine side of the culture of Islam book. Actually, I don't know if that's available to the public, but that's something that we get in our class. And the training that we get is just not out there. You won't find it anywhere else but in the MGT class. So it's invaluable. It's so amazing. I love my class. I love going every Saturday and learning more how to be a divine woman of God.
Yes, ma'am. This is just my last question that I have for you. I don't want to hold you up too much. What would be your last thoughts? What's your advice to young women watching this who may have went through what you were going through before you are striving to follow the teachings?
You know, we're taught in Islam to want for your brother and sister what you want for yourself. And I'm just getting emotional thinking about this. The teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I don't know where my life would be without that happening in my life. And I know that Allah acted on my life for that to happen. And I want that for my sisters. I want that for everyone out there, because our nature is righteousness and we have to feed that nature, because we live in such a wicked world and it's pulling on us daily. And Satan has made evil fair seeming and convinces people that everything that God told us not to do, that we should do, and it's okay to do. And it's just not true. It's not true. 10 years ago, I would have never thought that I would believe in God and be in this process of purification. But this is the best decision I've ever made for my life. And I just pray that more women and girls can see the beauty of Islam. And I strive to be a representation of that. I'm not perfect, but I'm striving. And I really love Islam. And I do believe that that's evident when people see, the things that I share online or people that meet me in person. So, and the last thing I'll say is that, sisters, like, this is for you. It's for you. Sometimes people can feel intimidated because they might see like the sisters in white and feel so far from that, but that's you. We're your reflection.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. You was teaching right there. I just want to thank you so much for coming on your little brother's small platform I'm trying to build up. I thank you for your time, taking time out of your day, just to hop on processing class real quick. I pray Allah continues to bless and protect you and your loved ones. And I'm definitely going to stay tuned on your journey as of those watching. So thank you. Salam alaikum. And continue to have a blessed day, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Wa alaikum salam. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.